how is Ash, yes, the Ash Ketchum, rich? Hello and welcome back to Pokemon Theory, the show where Professor Oak really isn't a professor and going to the gym doesn't mean pumping iron. Unless you're in Dewford Town, which is a literal gym. Ash Ketchum rich! I can hardly believe it myself, but when you hear the theory, you might be convinced yourself. The idea is not only location, but the entire premise of both the anime and games. Yes, somehow the games have been thrown into this theory as well. To specify, the games are considered an entire parallel universe that very rarely ever crosses over with very subtle references. First, let's address the role of the games in this theory. It's speculated that because you never pay for healthcare, or rather Pokemon centers, that you are rich and your family has already paid them or pays the bill for you. And to add to that, your family often lives in an exclusive town. In Kanto specifically, it's considered beachfront property, as some people have put it. Pokemon centers are free for odd reasons. Many people have speculated that it's due to the government's socialization of healthcare, which many countries have. And since Pokemon is inspired from the real world, it would seem that Pokemon centers are likely socialized healthcare, just like we have in the real world. As for the beachfront property, in the games at least, Pallet Town might be on the edge of the sea or ocean or whatever in the game itself, but the games were created in the 8-bit Game Boy days, so there might only be a few towns like that in the game, but they are on the edge of a massive island that would be Japan in real life, which means though few towns are shown in the game on the beach, there are thousands in real life, the equivalent to our real world on the edge of the water. That debunks the games, and since they played a small role, the anime really is the crux of this theory. Ash Ketchum and Delilah Ketchum are apparently rich, and this is why Ash is able to go on an adventure. This is supported by, once more, Ash living in an exclusive town and Ash being given a starter Pokemon. I can get behind that, it makes sense at a passing glance, but I actually looked deeper than a passing glance. In the beginning episode of Pokemon, the narrator and Ash explain that 10-year-olds can get a Pokemon from the town's Pokemon expert, but also that all 10-year-olds can get a Pokemon license, implying that once you are 10, poor or rich, you can become an official Pokemon trainer. Which also backs up the notion of socialized healthcare because of the license restriction. And yes, I know there are younger kids out there with the Pokemon as well. I suppose it's like speeding. Most of the time you could do it, and it doesn't really matter unless you actually get caught. Even though it might be an exclusive town, there are a large number of people who live there as well. As seen with Gary and Ash getting their Pokemon, a large group of people show up for both of them, to see them all. Perhaps there are some of those people from out of town, but why? It's just some 10-year-olds getting a few Pokemon, so it's not really that big of a deal, is it? And again, the town of Pallet might be close to the water, but it is nothing like the game. And then again, though it is an 8-bit version of the anime, so it's really hard to say. Point is, Pallet doesn't seem like it's filled with mansions and gold. It might be due to the fact that no one really wants to live in the middle of nowhere. As for the starter Pokemon, many professors give them away, as shown in other regions, but there are many trainers too who just randomly befriend a Pokemon as their own starter, and even more that are not professional trainers, they just have Pokemon. Finally, Ash's going on an adventure doesn't really make him rich. Ash has no car, much less a bike, as he destroyed Misty's, and then, well, this is the point where I have to debunk this theory, unfortunately. See, if anything, Ash is more broke than anyone else in Kanto. Not only is Ash a representation of the viewer, but the age should be an indication of which viewers. And 10-year-olds can be rich, without question, I'm not denying that fact, but if the anime is appealing to a broad fan base of children across the world, then the majority of the world probably wouldn't be rich, not even close to it. Remember when Ash was going to battle Brock in Pewter City? Before doing so, Ash had a conversation with Misty about how he should use her Pokemon and asked nicely since she had water types. After a short argument, Misty stormed off and Ash says something that almost completely debunks this theory alone. Listen to what he said.
Hey, you can't leave me with the bill! Come back here!
Yes, you heard that right. Hey, you can't leave me with the bill. Come back key. Would someone rich, who literally doesn't care about money, say something like that? Perhaps an old miser might, but a kid like Ash? At a passing glance, the Ash is rich theory might make a bit of sense, but anyone who takes this theory seriously have completely forgotten how many times Ash, Misty, and Brock scarfed down food from being so broke and so hungry. Remember when Ash had nowhere to stay on the Cinnabar Island and Gary taunted him? Remember when Ash and Misty and Brock were scarfing down food? And so many times within the anime on the Saint Anne and in various episodes, Ash and his friends were drooling over the food because they were just so poor. They couldn't afford it. I can keep going, but why would a rich man, a rich child who loves his friends, not only starve himself, but also deny his friends as well? I consider this theory debunked, and I hope you do too. Ash isn't any richer than the gamblers who went bust within the series itself. I hope you guys enjoyed this theory. Please like and share this if you did, and let me know any theories you'd like me to investigate.